You know those voices that tell you things and make you see things that you don't want to see, imaginary scenarios ending in disaster, or that small sense of doubt in your mind. Everyone lives with it, some choose to ignore it, whilst others like myself, who just don't act, we don't push it out, we don't ignore it, we let them speak, but we don't fully listen to it. It was just 2 days ago that these thoughts were nothing more to me than just that, thoughts. I was working off a picture of mine in my living room, and all I could hear was what I always hear. Something's wrong. It's not good enough. That will never work. It's not the right color. Your mind is broken, just like your perception. Just the average thoughts one hears every time they do something. The doubt, over and over again. Getting tired of my mind being itself, I left the drawing unfinished and went to my bedroom. I stopped when I heard a knocking at my door. I opened it, and there on my porch was an envelope. I observed the letter and I picked it up. There was no name or address, nothing. I know what you're thinking. Don't tell us you opened that envelope. I did. I opened the envelope and pulled out the letter and the vial. Wasn't much written on it, just a phrase in Latin. I don't understand Latin, nor do I know anyone who does, so I assumed the letter probably wasn't for me. So I placed the letter in a different envelope. I then placed it on my table, unsure what to do with it. I would probably keep it at home. I couldn't take it anywhere else. It had no address, so I couldn't return it anyway. I looked at the vial. It had some black liquid reading, "Drink me." I don't know why, but I opened it and took a sip out of the vial. It felt as if I had no control over myself. I just opened it. Next thing you know, I had drank the whole thing. It felt like something heavy was going down my throat, and it tasted metallic. I just looked at the empty vial, placed it on the table, and walked into my bathroom, and I looked at my reflection, expecting to only see me. I saw someone else in the mirror though. Someone right behind me, staring at me through the mirror. A tall man wearing a trench coat and a fedora that was standing in my shower. He was wearing a smiling mask on his face that looked to have been bolted onto his face, and he had blonde hair under his head. He was bent over and looking at me. I jumped, shocked at the unknown man in my shower. He didn't speak to me, rather he walked up to me, walking out of my shower and right in front of me. He loomed over me, making me very uncomfortable. "Hey, what the fuck are you doing in my house?" I asked, trying not to sound scared. The man looked down at me before grabbing my shoulders. I didn't notice how long his arms were earlier. They were all the way down his body and touching the ground. I also didn't notice the white gloves he was wearing on his hands. I mean, who would care about that detail? This man was in my house. He was trespassing. He then spoke. His voice I can't describe. "You are broken, child. It's not right. I can fix you. We can fix you." He pulls me closer to him, and I couldn't move. I couldn't even shout. Just as I was trying to struggle, I felt myself sinking into the man's body, whatever this man was. There was no way he was human. I blacked out after getting halfway to his body. I remember waking up. I don't know, it was somewhere, some inky black space. It just felt as if I was floating. I saw those figures looking down at me. One was the man I saw prior, and the other was another man, but he had an unkempt beard, a fancy suit, and a tall top hat. He too was smiling, but it wasn't the mask. I could see his pale face. When I woke up this morning, I felt dizzy. I felt drunk. I got up to see that same man in the trench coat staring at me. I tried to think, tried to hear my thoughts, but I couldn't. I couldn't hear the voices in my head. I then heard something, but not from my head, from the man standing above me. "Time to get up. Time for another day of this mundane life," he said, as if he was me, or speaking from my perspective. His voice sounded the same, but with a mixture of my own voice, as if my thoughts were alive. I sat for a moment, confused at this circumstance. The man grabbed my wrist and dragged me out of bed, escaping my hands and legs on the bed frame. I screamed in pain and tried to fight him off, but his grip was strong as he pulled me into my closet. I sat up and looked at my legs. They were scratched from the dragging. "Another day, another horrible outfit for myself," he said as he stared down at me. I quickly got dressed, not wanting this man to do anything else. I looked in the mirror. "Am I really leaving the house in this horrible mess?" the man said, before grabbing me and dragging me through the hallways, making me bump into the shelves and picture frames. He dragged me to my desk and pointed to the unfinished picture. "Might as well get this over with while it's early," the man said as he sat me on my chair and grabbed my hand. He started to move my hand around and make me draw lines on my picture. "It's so bad. I'm doing such a horrible job. I call this art," the man said as he continued to force my hand to draw on the paper. I tried to fight against him, but that seemed to piss him off, and he banged my head on the table. "I'm such a moron, always hurting myself," the man said as he lifted my head off my desk. I saw a small puddle of blood from my nose. That was several hours ago. He's still here, and I don't know how to get rid of him. He's been dragging me all over my house and making me do things that I'd usually do, but in such a violent manner. I've locked myself in the room, and he's screaming at me and trying to break down that door. That door is going to give way soon. I'm covered in scratches, scrapes and bruises. I'm surprised that I don't have any broken bones. I'm in pain, but I'm not scared. I don't know why. What do I do? Does anyone else have this problem too? Hey guys, thanks for listening to today's story. I want to thank the Inventable Cookie for letting me narrate this story. And let me know what you think of this story. I really liked it. It was something different this time. And with nothing more to say, have a great night.